that I think should be kept in mind. Ms. Parai?
I have the same idea. You should be very, the price should be very flexible, but I think the issue should be very well defined, like in a broad census. Like if you are social transformation, energy, or energy innovation, something that creates an identity for the price, because this is very important if it's going to be repeated through the years, and so that people would know what the price is about. And I would only agree on fields if it's multiple price, otherwise it could be open. And I think, because if you have that identity, it's easier to build the reputation, and the people would know what the price would be. And I think it's also very important time in consensus, decision of the possible consensus. The Brazil is very expecting consensus. Sometimes it doesn't work well, but it's very important. But the time is also the most important, because if you will need to have a proceeding that you can find the consensus in an ideal time. That's it.
Thank you. Francis Chico?
Yeah. First point is, I agree, we need to agree topics in connection with the member of the committee, because we really understand what is important, what are the important topics. I think it's very important. The first committee would be very, very important. For example, I think if we ask a person like Mohamed Yunus to become, for example, the president of the committee, as a full meetings, if we ask I don't remember the number of the African women who were Nobel Prize of Peace, I think we take into account the women right development. If we ask to Mohan Women Singate to become members in the sustainable development topics, so we can ask to some artists like let's say Terence Malick or some guy like that. So it's very important, because it's this level of committee we're going to give 1,000 topics, and what is the level without the second point is, so the government, if we have a board of trustees, an advisory board, for example, like we had today, in order to advise the board of trustees and the selection committee, I think it could work very easily. And the third time, as Gilbert said, we are in a week. We are really in a week if we want to deliver the price in less than 1 year. I think we need to, the board of trustees need to design small teams. We need to, with all we have heard today, to define the identity of the price. We need to write the identity of the price in some few sentences, and after to develop the process. What is the process of selection? What is the process? There's a lot of possible ideas. We all have some experience on it, so I think it will be easy to manage. But if we want to give the first prize in next year, I think we need into less 2 months or 3 months to have everything, all the process already written and agreed. Because if not, it will be difficult.
Since we have talked about pre-identified fee, I think it is also very important that the first prize is in a field which will receive a lot of public attention. So I think it is even a bigger challenge in identifying the field in subsequent years as compared to the very first year, because it should capture the imagination that has gone into our discussion this morning, that it should do something good for the humanity, that the area should transcend all disciplinary boundaries and so on. So I think that there's a lot of work to be done to identify this area for the first prize, to send the right message and the signal. One thing.
No, I didn't want to tell us something.
Okay. Professor Krug.
Thank you. I I wanted to say this, what I'm going to tell now in the conclusions, but this discussion prompted me to speak up. I came here in the belief that the founder wants to make a prize for an outstanding individual, which has high visibility, very strong impact on the society, and we discussed many of these issues before. So I made some thinking, because it was stated that next year the prize has to be given out, that even some proposals have to be brought up. And based on the discussion what we had today, confirmed my belief in connection with my proposal, which came into my mind about 1 week ago. Yesterday evening I shared my views with the table at the dinner, and no one protested. I said even here in the break with someone discussed it, so I want to present it to you now. The proposal is the father of the euro. And the reason is that I don't have any other peaceful initiative in my mind in the last decade or 2 decades, like the significance of the euro for Europe. But I want to convince you that it is not only a European issue. You may say that it's a European issue. Let me draw a negative picture. If the euro falls into parts, the European Union might fall into parts, and if the European Union falls into parts, then we are coming to a situation which is near to what we had before the Second World War. I don't want to continue this dark picture. And therefore, I think if we decided, well, it's my proposal, that a prize like this is given to someone where the person is less significant than the issue, this would give a very high visibility. It would give trust to the euro, because I am sure that part of the uncertainty of the euro is connected with some financial circles which are counter-interested. I'm not a financier, but that's my feeling. So I think if we want to have a high visibility prize, then this would be definitely one. So I thought on the basis of this discussion that this or some similar proposal could be something what probably Mr. Youssef had in his mind, but of course I didn't look inside it, I couldn't, but I have the feeling on the basis of all the documents what I got that this is near to his initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. That's another dimension to the discussion that we had.
Thank you. I'm next on the list. Two little things. Professor Kuru, I think your wallet is on the floor right in front of you. I don't want you to lose it. Speaking about the euro.
Just one remark, this is not my wallet, this is my visiting card. You can take it, but you don't have money.
Secondly, if I am allowed to make one little statement about the multiple awards. In my opinion, and now I am speaking as Ulrich, finally, I think this is a wonderful idea. However, given the time frames that we're looking at, and what I agree with also is what was mentioned, is the absolute criticalness of the visibility of the first award, so that the credibility, the gravitas, and the moral and ethical clarity be established of this prize, it may be more useful, and the group may consider this, it may be more useful that the first prize be one, not multiple, because it will draw attention forward and then to build it from there, so that it becomes each year, whatever, it kind of fans out, but that the first one, so that the attention is absolutely focused on the winner, on the individual, and that the prize will be clearly established, and it not just be 20 awards to anybody. Sorry, thank you. Now it's Professor George.
Professor George.
Because I want to comment on the idea which has cropped out there, because there's many people here who support it. That's flexibility of the price. I'm strongly engaged there. It's good to be flexible in life, but price is a price. It has to be strictly to define what it is for, and the range of the price. Talking on the chair, I don't think that idea was to have a price to introduce chair that's even at MIT or Harvard. I don't think that that's the idea of the institute. So I suggest that flexibility of this price should be forgotten, since I understood the idea was completely different. It's nothing similar to have a chair size. I understood that the idea was to recognize a higher level. It is a high level of having a chair at Harvard, but higher levels of that. And that's the first issue. And the second, I want to comment on the second point in today's agenda. That's individual opinion. I'm not going to be invited on the committee, but I can't imagine a person, individual, who is invited on committee to agree that committee wouldn't do on the individual basis. That looks to me to something what I have experienced. So that is really something not even fair to pass on. We are all individuals. We participate as individuals. Otherwise, we don't need a committee. We can have machines and finish everything. So I think individuality of the committee is the most important thing. As Raul said, independent personality cannot be not individual. So I think we have to really recognize how to make decisions. No problem. One vote more wins. That's life. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'd like to bring up 3 points. One is media, and to get world attention and gravitas and prestige, I go along with Julian's idea that initial prize just be for one objective, and I suggested earlier the objective of identifying ideas, processes to increase prosperity of all humankind for all future generations by preserving the quality of the environment and its fauna and flora. By publicising one objective, you can then do what the Nobel Prize people do, is set out scouts and get the electronic media going out and drumming up suggestions and nominations and giving high visibility. And the objective that I've suggested for the first prize is something that everybody would have as an investment in for their children and their grandchildren. So it goes over on top of any Nobel Prizes to the survival of humanity on the planet. So I see the mandate of the committee of looking at how to get media attention, how to get nominations. So that's one point. The second point is the issue of gender, which the gentleman over here did raise. But there's some innovations in selection and gender that I'd like to suggest for consideration. And that is that only females can nominate males and only males can nominate females. and that way you get equality of gender representation, either on the trustees, the selection committee of nominations, or those who get the prize. And maybe if you have a male one year, you can't have a male the second year. So it's just a gender issue to introduce into the governance structure, which is my third point, is how you make decisions in the governance structure, which has to be transparent. There's always the hint and suspicion that the founder, the money bags, is manipulating the trustees to get conceived ideas. And one way to get around that is go back to the old Greek ideas of democracy. And that is you have qualified people who are trustees, or qualified, maybe have a panel of people who are all as part of the selection committee, but it's done by lot. And as soon as you select people by lot, there's no payback for bribing or paying or counter favours. So I introduced the idea of introducing the selection process by qualifying people first, and then, like they did in Greek days, selected by lot. So there's a few little innovations there that I'd like to introduce in the governance structure of the gender by lot, and having one fixed objective for the first one that can get scouts and worldwide interest and gravitas to what you're trying to do. Thank you.
I think one issue on which we have general agreement or consensus is that we would like that the first award should benchmark the level at which this award is being instituted and should enjoy high visibility. And I think connecting with media at the time of starting the nomination process would be a very important instrument towards getting that kind of visibility. By the same token, I think it is also very important that the first award is a award and not many awards, so that the attention is focused on one particular award rather than the dilution, which some people might perceive as dilution of awards. If that has to happen, it can happen later. But the first time, I think it would be a good idea to have one award and use the process of nomination to create high visibility for the award. Madam
to come back to the name to be given to this award, we have heard several people refer to the snobbery to which Tesla was often subjected to during his lifetime. And frankly, it's precisely because he was, for a part of his life, an unrecognized genius that I thought an award in his name would be original and attractive. And one of the reasons that I came all the way down from Latvia immediately after coming back from Tahiti is that I thought that this would be something new and exciting, recognizing the sort of person who has genius but did not necessarily get the recognition from the establishment, from the regular establishment in place. So that I would argue for, actually, if that was the original idea, to stick with the idea of making it a Tesla prize. I am completely against yet another chair and yet another fellowship. Because if you're talking prize, and that's what I came here to talk about the prize. If you want to establish a granting agency, that's a different kettle of fish. If you want to establish university chairs, it's a different kettle of fish. It's a different process. We should make up our minds, whether we're talking apples, oranges, or potatoes. I thought we're talking prize. And finally, once it comes to the actual selection process, I am not in favor of a majority vote, as it were, democratically for a prize. If somebody, as a candidate, cannot as much as garner 6 unanimous or 12 unanimous votes for him, how is he to be presented to the world as a great humanitarian or a great innovator or a great whatever? If even 6 people cannot agree on him being great, and it's pathetic, and we do not have a worthy candidate.
Thank you very much for bringing clarity to the issue that we are discussing.
Thank you. After having moderated the session, I apologize for inflicting my views on all of you again. Very quickly, since I've worked on poverty issues for 45 years, a plea for inclusiveness. One is, if you think that there are more than 2 billion poor people in the world, I think transformative work or idea which benefits those people should carry more weight than having a new innovative gadget for the elites, you know what I mean. That make it more inclusive. Language of communication, certainly the deliberations of the committee has to be in English and so on. But I think in the communication and putting out the notice for the prize, I think it should be in many languages so that you attract more nominations. I think that's very important. And the other point, which is the most subtle point, is that when I worked 20 years in the IPCC, we found that there was a bias in the formal communication, because one tended to always go for journal articles in high-powered journals and so on. And a lot of non-formal communications and ideas, which are very good, were totally ignored. So we should make an effort to look for those as well. Perhaps one or two in some of the other languages. I know it's asking for a lot, but if we want to be truly inclusive in a social sense, we should not be catering even inadvertently to an elite or a smaller minority of humanity. I think we should be reaching out to everybody as much as money and effort can do. I know it's costly to do all of this, but we should make the effort.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, one last point. If you call this the Nikola Tesla Award, I don't think you have a problem with the Tesla car or anything else. So I think that's one way of differentiating the problem with the name.
Any other comment? Well, if there is no other comment, let me thank all the participants to this session. I like to believe that as far as the 3 questions which were assigned for this discussion is concerned, I think we have general agreement that pre-agreed field should be there to invite nominations in the particular area, and I hope that this field will keep on changing year to year or whatever is the discretion of the founder of these awards or the trustees of the body which is established for this. And I think also there is general feeling that the committee should work, of course, in a democratic way and decide on its own by impressing majority the decision to be taken. Although ideally I do believe that there should be a broad consensus on this, because small group of people must completely agree as to what the person is doing to be selected. So that's all. I said something on it.
The impossible has happened. We're back on time. Which means we have 5-6 minutes to stretch our legs, go whatever we need to do. I just have one big question. Is there consensus or a majority for another round of coffee?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right, I will arrange for that. Okay.